I shared my meal with a starving alien woman. Then her 5 friends invited me home, HFY. He had learned long ago that space stations were loud in quiet ways, not with noise, but with hunger, waiting, and tired eyes. The neutral trade station drifted between systems like a forgotten coin, useful only because everyone passed through it at some point. Merchants, pilots, refugees, and mercenaries all crossed paths there, but rarely looked at each other for long. The human sat alone at a narrow table near a food counter that served things most species could tolerate. His ship was small, his job temporary, and his credits carefully counted. He ate slowly, not because the food was good, but because it had to last. Around him, conversations flowed in alien languages, sharp clicks, low hums, and flashing patterns of light. That was when he noticed her. She sat on the floor near a wall where shadows gathered. Her frame was thin, her skin a pale blue-gray with faint lines that looked like cracks in dry stone. Her clothes were worn and clearly repaired many times. She watched the food counter with eyes that were too focused, too still. The human had seen that look before on mining worlds and border colonies. It was the look of someone who had not eaten in a long time. Others saw her too. They simply looked away. A pair of traders passed by and muttered something in a sharp tone. Another alien adjusted its bag closer to its body when it noticed her. No one offered help. No one asked questions. On stations like this, weakness was a warning sign. People learned early not to involve themselves. The human returned his attention to his tray, but the image stayed with him. Each time he lifted his food, he felt the distance between his table and the wall shrink in his mind. He told himself the usual things. He had limited credits. He did not know her species. Helping could lead to trouble. He ate half his meal and stopped. The food was simple but filling, enough for one person. He stared at what remained, then at the woman again. She had not moved. Her hands rested on her knees, fingers trembling slightly. She was trying very hard not to stare. That decided it. He stood, picked up his tray, and walked toward her. A few heads turned. Some watched with curiosity, others with quiet disbelief. He stopped a short distance away so as not to startle her. Slowly, he lowered himself to one knee and slid the tray forward across the floor. "You can have this," he said. His voice was calm, even. He spoke in trade common, the rough, shared language of stations and ports. The woman froze, her eyes widened, and for a moment he thought she might run. She looked behind him, then around them, as if expecting someone to shout or stop them. No one did. The station continued its low hum. "This is yours," she said carefully. Her voice was soft like wind through broken stone. "Yes," he said, "but you need it more." She did not move. Her gaze dropped to the food, then back to his face. Confusion warred with something else. Fear, maybe, or disbelief. "Why?" she asked. He shrugged slightly. "Because I can." That seemed to confuse her even more. Slowly, as if the tray might vanish, she reached forward. Her hands hovered, then touched the edge. Only then did she seem to accept it was real. She pulled the food closer and began to eat, not fast, not greedy. She ate with care, like someone who knew wasting even a small amount could be dangerous. The human sat down on the floor a short distance away, his back against the wall. He did not watch her eat. He looked out at the station traffic instead. A few beings whispered as they passed. One stopped briefly and spoke to him in a low tone. "You should be careful," the alien said. "Her kind brings trouble." He met the alien's gaze. "She's just hungry." The alien snorted and walked away. When the woman finished, she placed the empty tray between them and bowed her head deeply. The gesture was formal, precise. "I am called Sira," she said. "I will remember this." He nodded. "I'm just passing through." "That does not lessen the act," she replied. She stood slowly, steadying herself against the wall. Up close, he could see how tired she truly was. Not just physically, but in a deeper way, as if the galaxy had pressed down on her for too long. Before he could say anything else, she turned and walked away into the flow of travelers. The human watched her go, then stood and returned the tray. His stomach protested, but he ignored it. He had eaten enough to last. He did not expect to see her again. Later, as the station lights dimmed to signal cycle change, he headed toward the docking ring. His ship was due for departure soon, and he planned to sleep in the cockpit if he could. As he rounded a corner, 6 figures stepped into his path. He stopped. Sira stood at the center. She looked stronger now, her posture straighter. Around her were 5 others of her species. Each was different in size and markings, but all shared the same steady gaze. They were not armed, but there was something solid about the way they stood. We wish to speak with you, Sira said. The human glanced around. The corridor was not empty, but no one lingered close. He nodded. All right. They led him to a quiet alcove used for cargo inspections. One of them activated a privacy field. The station noise faded. You shared your meal, one of the others said. His voice was deeper, carrying authority. Do you understand what that means? I was just helping, the human said. No meaning beyond that. Sira shook her head gently. Among our people, sharing food with the starving is a bond. It is a promise even if you did not know it. He frowned slightly. A promise of what? Of protection, she said. Of recognition, of home. He felt a strange tightness in his chest. I can't offer any of that, I'm just one person. That is why it matters, another said. No one powerful would have done what you did. They explained then. Their species had been pushed aside by larger empires, forced into corners of space others did not want. Trade stations like this one were dangerous for them. Many refused to deal with them at all. When one of us starves, Sira said, it means all doors have closed. The human was quiet for a moment. I didn't know. You did not need to, she replied. You acted anyway. The one who seemed to lead them stepped forward. We invite you to our home world. The words hung in the air. That's not possible, the human said. I have work, I have a ship barely holding together, I can't just... You are not required to accept, Sira said, but the invitation stands. Why me? He asked. Because kindness is rare, she said simply. And rarer still from those the galaxy fears. He almost laughed at that. Fears? She nodded. Humans are spoken of in warnings, as survivors, as beings who endure what should break them. He thought of Earth's long history of wars and rebuilding, of people helping strangers in ruins. We're just stubborn, he said. The leader inclined his head. That stubbornness saved you from ignoring her. Silence filled the space. The human looked at their faces, saw no deception there, only something like hope carefully guarded. I don't know what you expect from me, he said. Nothing more than what you already showed, Sira replied. A chime sounded. His ship's departure window was approaching. I need time, he said. Take it, the leader said. We will remain docked for one cycle. As they deactivated the privacy field and stepped away, Sira lingered. You changed my path today, she said quietly. Whatever you choose, know that. He watched her rejoin her friends and disappear down the corridor. Alone again, the human leaned against the wall. He felt tired, hungry, and strangely unsettled. He had shared a meal, nothing more. And yet the station felt different now, as if he stood at the edge of something unseen. He headed toward his ship, unaware that a small act of kindness had already begun to echo far beyond the walls of the station. He lay in the narrow seat of his cockpit, lights dimmed, engines silent, staring at the faint glow of the station outside his viewport. Ships drifted past like slow thoughts. His stomach still felt light, but that was not what kept him awake. It was the memory of 6 calm faces and one simple invitation that made no sense. Home world. He had crossed half a dozen systems and never once been invited anywhere. Humans were tolerated, hired, sometimes feared, but rarely welcomed. He told himself the aliens were being polite, honoring some custom he did not understand. He told himself he would thank them and leave. When the cycle alarm chimed, he sat up and sighed. He washed his face with recycled water, pulled on his jacket, and checked his credit balance. Enough for fuel, enough to leave. He did not leave. Instead, he walked back toward the docking ring where the alien ship had been moored. The vessel was unlike most trade ships. Its surface was smooth and dull, marked with patterns that looked grown rather than built. It felt old but not weak. Sira was waiting near the ramp. She seemed less fragile now, as if food and rest had restored more than just her body. You came, she said. I said I'd think about it, he replied. Thinking took longer than expected. Her mouth curved slightly, a gesture he had learned meant relief. Inside, the ship smelled faintly of minerals and warm air. The 5 others were already seated in a circle. They gestured for him to sit among them, not apart. That alone felt strange. The leader spoke first. We will explain what we can, you deserve that. They told him about their world. A planet poor in metals but rich in knowledge, hidden in a region most empires ignored. Long ago, their people had survived not by strength, but by learning how to adapt, how to survive harsh climates, how to work together, how to wait. But waiting has costs, Sira said softly. Hunger is one of them. The human listened without interruption. He did not judge. He did not offer solutions. He simply listened, and that seemed to surprise them almost as much as the meal had. We do not invite outsiders lightly, the leader said, but your action bound you to us in a way our laws cannot ignore. What happens if I say no? The human asked. Nothing, Sira answered. You leave, we remain grateful. And if I say yes, then you see our truth, another said, and the galaxy may notice. That part worried him. Still, when the ship undocked and the station shrank behind them, he felt something unexpected, not fear. Purpose, the journey took several days through quiet space. During that time, the human learned more about them. Their names, their small jokes, their careful way of planning for everything. He helped where he could, fixing a power relay, reinforcing a cracked panel. They watched him work with interest. You use what you have, one of them observed. We always do, he replied. When they arrived, the planet looked unremarkable at first. Brown and gray, thin clouds, no glittering cities. But as they descended, he saw communities carved into stone, structures designed to shield from storms, fields grown in unlikely places. The people came out to watch the ship land. Not crowds, but groups. Quiet, alert, Sira led him down the ramp. This is where we live, she said. Simply, he nodded. It's enough. That night they shared food again. This time there was enough for everyone. The human was given a place to rest, a room carved into stone, warm and safe. For the first time in many cycles, he slept deeply. He did not know that eyes beyond the planet had already begun to watch. The human noticed it while helping repair a water channel near one of the stone settlements. The work was slow but honest, and he liked it. The planet had a calm rhythm that felt different from the trade stations and border worlds he knew. People greeted him with small nods, careful but warm. No one treated him like a threat. That morning, Sira arrived later than usual. Her steps were quick, her eyes alert. There are ships, she said, at the edge of the system. The human straightened. Passing through, she shook her head. No, they are watching. By midday, the leaders of the community gathered in the central hall. The human stood near the back, listening. A projection showed 3 large vessels holding position beyond the planet's defense range. Their design was sharp, heavy, built for control rather than travel. They belong to the Varkine Compact, one elder said. They have claimed worlds like ours before. They did not know we were here, another added. Until now. All eyes slowly turned toward the human. He felt the weight of it but did not step back. You're saying they followed me? Yes, Sira said quietly. Your ship's path, humans attract attention. He ran a hand through his hair. Then this is my fault. The leader raised a hand. No, they would have found us eventually. You only changed when. A signal arrived soon after. The message was short and cold. The Varkine demanded access to the planet, claiming it held resources and strategic value. They offered protection in exchange for control. No one in the room believed that. They always start with words, an elder said. Then they take. The human studied the projection. 3 ships, heavy weapons, no sign of immediate attack. They think you're weak, he said, and alone. We are weak, someone replied. No, he said, firmer now. You're quiet, that's different. They looked at him, uncertain. What do humans do? Sira asked. When someone stronger comes, he thought of Earth, of cities rebuilt after storms, of people standing together when nothing else worked. We adapt, he said, and we buy time. Over the next hours, he asked questions about tunnels, old shelters, power systems. Communication ranges. The aliens answered carefully, surprised by the detail of his interest. They expect fear, he said, so don't give it to them. The Varkine sent another message. This time they requested a representative, one human, one local leader. I'll go, the human said. You should not, Sira said at once. They followed me, he replied. Let me slow them down. The meeting took place in orbit aboard a neutral platform. The Varkine commander was tall, armored, his voice smooth and confident. You stand with them now? The commander asked. A drifter defending a hidden people? They invited me, the human said simply. The commander laughed softly. Kindness is a poor shield. Maybe, the human replied, but it's enough to make you talk instead of fire. The commander's eyes narrowed. Negotiations dragged on. The human asked questions, delayed decisions, pointed out legal gaps. He was not winning, but he was buying time. On the planet below, the people worked. They sealed entrances, rerouted power, prepared shelters. Not for war, but for survival. When talks ended, the Varkine commander smiled. You cannot stop us. I know, the human said, but you can't stop us either. The first strike never came. Instead, the Varkine ships moved closer, scanning, probing. They found nothing of value. No metals, no weapons, just a people who refused to panic. The human returned to the surface exhausted. Sira met him at the landing site. "They are waiting," she said. "So are we," he answered. Days passed, supplies held, spirits remained steady. The Varking grew impatient. Their power meant little against emptiness and unity. Finally, the ships withdrew. Cheers were quiet, restrained, but real. That night, Sira stood beside the human, looking up at the stars. "You stayed," she said. "So did you," he replied. The galaxy had tested them. And for the first time, they had not been alone. The Varking ships vanished beyond the edge of the system, but the silence they left behind was heavier than their presence had ever been. For several cycles, the people did not celebrate. They worked instead. They checked water channels, reinforced shelters, and repaired what had been strained during the long days of waiting. Survival had taught them that danger often returned when joy came too quickly. The human stayed. He helped where he could, carrying stone, fixing worn tools, listening more than speaking. Children began to follow him at a distance, curious and unafraid. Elders watched him with thoughtful eyes. No one treated him as an outsider anymore, but no one rushed to name him one of them either. Sira walked with him often. They spoke about small things at first. The weather, the way shadows moved across the valley walls, the strange habits of other species she had seen on trade stations. One evening, as the light faded, she finally asked the question that had been waiting between them. "You could leave now," she said. "No one would blame you." He looked across the land, the stone homes, the quiet strength in their design. "I know. Why haven't you?" He took his time answering. "Because every place I've passed through before wanted something from me. Work, loyalty, fear. This place just let me be useful." She nodded slowly. "That is how we survive. We do not take more than we need." News traveled slowly, but it traveled. A small merchant vessel arrived days later than another. Word had spread that the Varking had failed to claim a world. That alone made others curious. Traders asked careful questions. Observers watched from orbit and left without landing. And then came the messages. Not threats this time. Questions, requests for meetings. Polite inquiries from species who had once ignored this region of space entirely. The human listened as leaders gathered again in the central hall. This time there was no fear in the room, only caution. "They want alliances," one elder said. "Trade, knowledge." "They want what we protected," another added. Sira turned to the human. "What do humans do when the galaxy starts to notice?" He smiled faintly. "We decide what kind of story we want told." They chose carefully. They did not reveal everything. They shared only what would not be used as a weapon, farming methods, survival designs. Ways to live on poor worlds without destroying them. The galaxy was not used to that kind of strength. More ships came, but none stayed long. The Varking did not return. One day, as the sun dipped low, the leader of the people approached the human. "You have a place here," he said, "if you wish it." The human felt the weight of the words. "And if I do?" "Then you leave as a friend," the leader replied. "Either way, the bond remains." That night, the community gathered for a shared meal. Food was passed freely, laughter quiet but warm. Sira sat beside the human, her movements relaxed in a way they had not been before. "You began this with a meal," she said. "It seems right to end it with one." "Or begin something else," he replied. In the days that followed, he prepared his ship, not to leave forever but to travel again. This time with purpose, he would speak. Carefully, honestly, he would tell others what he had seen. Before departure, Sira walked him to the landing site. "Will you come back?" she asked. He looked at her, then at the world behind her. "Yes." She reached out and placed a small stone in his hand, smooth, warm, "so you remember where home is." As his ship lifted into the sky, the people watched in silence, not sadness, trust. Far beyond the planet, the human set a course toward busy space. He carried no weapons, no secrets of power, only a story. Somewhere on a crowded station, much like the first, a hungry being would be ignored. And somewhere nearby, a human would remember what happened when one meal was shared. The galaxy would learn slowly what humans truly brought with them, not conquest, not fear,